You've been taught a version of reality you were never supposed to question. God, a distant mystery. The universe, just a cold accident. Jesus, a man who came to die for your sins, end of story. But what if none of that is the full picture? What if what we've been told is only the outer shell of something much more intricate, much more intentional? There's a book one that's rarely talked about, often dismissed, and yet hiding in plain sight. It claims to reveal the true structure of existence, and not in vague metaphors or poetic riddles, but in direct messages said to be dictated by higher intelligences. It's called the Urantia Book, and if even half of what it says is true, then almost everything we've been taught about God, about the universe, about the soul, has been radically misunderstood. This isn't just another mystical text to toss on the shelf. This is something that dares to challenge every framework that told you to stop asking questions and just accept. And it didn't come from a church or a temple or some mountaintop guru. It started in an ordinary room in 1920s Chicago. A psychiatrist named Dr. William Sadler, respected, educated skeptical, was asked to investigate a strange case. A man whose identity remains unknown to this day had begun speaking in his sleep, but not like normal sleep talking. During these episodes, he would deliver long, layered discourses on philosophy, cosmology, metaphysics, even divine administration. And the strangest part, the vocabulary was precise, the structure profound, the ideas far beyond what anyone would expect from a man with no background in advanced science or theology. Sadler had made a name for himself debunking spiritualist hoaxes. He didn't go in looking to believe, but the deeper he looked, the harder it was to dismiss. He gathered a group: doctors, professors, thinkers, and they began what came to be called the Forum. Quietly over years, they documented these sessions, thousands of pages, and what emerged became the Urantia Book, not claimed to be inspired by higher beings, but directly transmitted by them. And it didn't pander to ego. It didn't try to fit into religious or scientific molds. It stated plainly, humanity is ready for a higher revelation, a deeper integration of science, religion, and philosophy. And this is the bridge. It introduces an expansive cosmology. It redefines Jesus. It outlines the architecture of the universe and the spiritual purpose behind it all. And yet it didn't come with a marketing campaign. It wasn't pushed through churches. It didn't seek donations. No leader, no guru, no preacher attached. It was quietly published in 1955. No human author listed. No demands. Just a message. That alone should make you pause. In a world where power always has a name behind it, a face, a brand, this book simply invites you to read, to test, to explore, not to believe blindly. So, why haven't you heard of it? Why isn't it discussed in universities or debated on big spiritual platforms? Maybe because it doesn't fit any of the boxes. It's not religious dogma. It's not a scientific theory. It's something in between and beyond. It doesn't tell you what to think. It challenges what you've already been thinking your whole life. It doesn't flatter you. It reminds you that you're unfinished and evolving. And some of what it reveals can't even be said openly on platforms like this. That's why we created Insights Academy, our free newsletter, where we go deeper into what can't be spoken here. You'll find the link in the description. And yes, you'll get a free copy of the Kabbalion too, but only for a limited time. This book doesn't want followers. It wants thinkers. It speaks in the language of order, structure, and cosmic intention. It describes a universe not governed by chaos, but by living intelligence. Not randomness pattern, not punishment evolution, and humanity not fallen, just unfinished. This all began as a strange sleep phenomenon. But if what the book says is true, this isn't just a weird manuscript. It's a cosmic transmission, one that didn't show up centuries ago, but now. Because now, maybe for the first time, we're ready. We've been told the universe is indifferent, just matter and math. A big bang followed by accident and chaos. Religion often skips the details and just says God did it. But what if both are missing something? What if the universe isn't an accident, but a design? The Urantia Book lays out a vision of the cosmos that is deeply structured, organized by spiritual hierarchies, and pulsing with purpose. Earth, it's not special. It's not the center. It's one of billions nestled inside an ordered system of vast spiritual domains. At the center of this structure is Havana, the eternal, perfect universe, home of the universal Father, the source of all. Surrounding it are 7 super universes. Ours is called Orvanton. Inside Orvonton is the Milky Way, and inside that, our solar system, our little world, Urantia. We're not random, but we are early. Each universe is governed. Each layer has beings assigned to guide, uplift, manage. These aren't vague symbols or allegories. The book presents them as real intelligences, ancient wise operating on levels far beyond our comprehension. And while we've been obsessed with material technology, they've mastered spiritual maturity. Earth in this model is young, chaotic, still waking up. But we're not alone. We've never been. This vision doesn't reject evolution, it expands it. It turns life from a random game of survival into a sacred school for the soul. And somewhere deep down, maybe you've always known that. That life wasn't just about earning, striving, surviving, that maybe we're here for something more. The Urantia book doesn't give you dogma. It gives you a map, not of superstition, but of structure. A universe not to fear, but to trust. And your life not meaningless, but meticulously placed. You're not a mistake. You're a traveler. And this is only the beginning. If you've ever looked around and felt like something about this world is off, like there's some hidden reason for the chaos, the suffering, the confusion, you're not imagining it. The Urantia book offers a startling explanation. It doesn't say humanity is broken because of original sin. It doesn't say we're inherently violent, doomed, or cursed. It says Earth Urantia was caught in a cosmic rebellion. And yes, it names names, not metaphorical ones. Real identities, real events in a spiritual system that mirrors and expands far beyond what ancient religious texts ever dared describe. At the center of this upheaval is Lucifer, but not the horned villain from medieval art, not the pitchfork-wielding cartoon. The book describes Lucifer as a real being, an administrator, a leader of a system of worlds who hundreds of thousands of years ago launched a rebellion. And his core argument that intelligent beings no longer needed to follow divine guidance, that autonomy should replace alignment. It wasn't a war of weapons, it was a war of ideas. Lucifer's declaration attracted others, beings of light, celestial leaders, and many followed. Earth was one of the worlds pulled into this ideological revolt. And so we were cut off, disconnected, spiritually quarantined to prevent the rebellion from infecting other realms. That's why, according to the book, Earth has felt so alone. That's why so many prophets, saints, and seers across time have described Earth as a realm of darkness, of struggle, of separation. Not because God abandoned us, but because we were sealed off for our protection and for the safety of the rest of the cosmic family. We weren't banished. We were contained. And that's why your soul at times aches like it remembers something it can't explain. Like it once had access to a harmony that's now just a whisper. But here's the twist. Almost every religion echoes this same story in fragments. The fall of man, the exile from Eden, the angel cast out of heaven. They're distorted echoes of the same event. Over time, those echoes were twisted into doctrines of guilt and shame. Instead of explaining the rupture, they made you feel like the rupture was your fault. The Urantia book flips that narrative. We're not damned. We're healing. We're not fallen. We're growing. And the rebellion, according to the book, it's ending. The circuits are reconnecting. The quarantine is lifting. Earth is slowly, steadily rejoining the greater spiritual network it was once part of. The turmoil you see in the world isn't the end. It's the labor pains of a planet waking up. But waking up is hard. It means unlearning, letting go of what you thought was truth. It means realizing that most of our systems, religion, politics, even education, were built in isolation. Without the full light. They did their best, but they were never complete. Now the light is returning, and so are the questions. Not long after the rebellion came a mission. One you've heard of, but maybe not like this. We're taught that Jesus came to die for our sins, that he was the divine sacrifice, the one and only Savior. The cross was the point. The blood was the redemption. But what if that's not the real story? What if Jesus didn't come just to die, but to live fully, as one of us? The Urantia book offers a breathtaking vision of Jesus, one that stretches far beyond traditional theology. According to the text, Jesus wasn't just a prophet or a moral teacher. He was Michael of Nebadon, a creator's son, one of many divine beings tasked with building and managing local universes. Ours is called Nebadon, and Michael Jesus chose Earth Urantia as the place for his final bestowal. What's a bestowal? It's when a creator's son incarnates as a mortal to experience firsthand the lives of the beings he created. Jesus didn't come to fulfill a sacrifice. He came to walk among us, to understand us, to live every aspect of our condition so that he could govern his creation with perfect empathy. He wasn't pretending to be human. He was human. And the book fills in the missing years. The lost decades the Bible barely touches Jesus' childhood, teenage years, his travels, his studies, his moments of uncertainty. It paints the picture of someone not just preparing for a public mission, but someone learning, growing, integrating wisdom from many cultures. And what's most striking, he never set out to create a religion. His mission wasn't dogma, it was demonstration. To show humanity what divine alignment looks like. To prove that we all carry the potential to walk that same path. He was the example, not the exception. And his death. It wasn't a requirement from God. It was the result of ignorance and fear from a world still lost in its spiritual sleep. He didn't die to satisfy divine wrath. He died because truth often threatens power. And even then, as he hung on a cross built by misunderstanding, he forgave. He loved. He transcended. If the image of Jesus you were taught has always felt incomplete, limited, or strangely disconnected from his message of inner transformation, this is why. You weren't given the whole story. You were handed a version filtered through institutions, centuries of political agendas, and dogmatic editing. The Urantia Book invites you to rediscover Jesus, not as an icon on a stained glass window, but as someone who walked your path, someone who lived it to show you that you can too. He didn't come to make you feel unworthy. He came to show you what's possible, that you're not a being to be saved, you're a soul ready to remember. And that's where the real transformation begins. There's a quiet lie buried beneath modern life, a whisper you've heard your whole life without even realizing it. It tells you that you're broken, that something inside you is flawed, unworthy, and in need of fixing. Religion calls it original sin. Culture calls it inadequacy. The system sells you self-worth, status, beauty, achievement, as if it were a product you could buy. But no matter how many steps you climb, how much you prove, how much you accumulate, the emptiness doesn't go away. That emptiness isn't there because you're flawed. It's there because you've been disconnected from something sacred, something living, something ancient that still breathes inside of you. The Urantia Book doesn't just suggest it, it names it. Within you lives a divine fragment, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. It's called the thought adjuster. It is the presence of God within you, a spark of divinity embedded in your being, guiding, not commanding your soul toward its highest form. It doesn't speak in thunder. It doesn't demand submission. It doesn't punish or reward. It whispers. In moments of stillness, in intuition, in the tiny pulses of conscience you feel when no one else is watching, it's not there to control your path. It's there to partner with you in walking it. The thought adjuster doesn't override your free will. That's the beauty of it. It honors your choices even when they lead you away. Because real love never forces, it waits, it invites, it calls you home. You felt this before, maybe during a silent walk at dusk, or when you made a hard choice because it felt right even though it didn't make sense, or when something inside you just knew without reason or logic what the next step was. That knowing, that's not fantasy, that's contact, and it's been happening your whole life. But the systems that run this world are designed to drown it out. Constant noise, endless stimulation, manufactured desires. You're told to look outward for your answers, for your worth, for your purpose. But the thought adjuster doesn't live in the noise. It speaks clearest in stillness, in honesty, in integrity. The Urantia Book says this divine presence is your birthright. You didn't earn it. You don't need a priest or a ritual to access it. It's yours because you exist. Because God didn't place himself above you to be worshipped. He placed himself within you to be discovered. And your spiritual evolution isn't about obeying a doctrine or chasing a reward. It's about choosing to cooperate with that inner light. Every moral decision, every act of love, every moment of courage when fear tells you to stay silent, but your soul says speak. That's how you evolve. It's not a ladder, it's a relationship. Every choice either strengthens your connection or delays it. Not in punishment, in patience. Because the divine isn't in a hurry, it's in harmony. And the sooner you begin to listen to that quiet, sacred voice, the sooner life stops being a race and it starts becoming a remembering. Because the truth is, you're not broken. You're just incomplete. And that's not a flaw, that's an invitation. Because incompleteness means you're still becoming, still evolving, still growing into the being you were always meant to become. And that's just the beginning. According to the Urantia Book, this life isn't your end. It's the first classroom. Earth isn't your home. It's your starting point. The discomfort you feel here, the aching sense that you were made for something more, that's not delusion. That's your soul remembering what comes next. You're not here to stay, you're here to begin. After this life, if your soul chooses to continue, you don't just disappear into the void. You awaken in the next stage, the mansion worlds. Not myth, not fantasy, but real realms of learning experience and growth. Each level prepares you for the next. Each realm refines your consciousness. You're not recycled into a loop, you ascend through it. Forward, not back. No flames, no judgment, no final damnation. Only evolution, only awakening. This isn't reincarnation. This is divine curriculum. And every moment of this life is part of it. The act of growing in love, in wisdom, in truth, that's the real test. Not how pious you appear, not how loudly you pray, but how honestly you live. And you're not alone. All along the way, spiritual intelligences guide your journey, patient, invisible, supporting your steps. That's the part they never told you. That this universe is teeming with life-conscious, advanced wise, but not obsessed with technology like we are, focused instead on spiritual maturity. You are known, you are seen, not by some surveillance god judging your flaws, but by a universe that sees your progress, your effort, your willingness to grow. Your soul matters, and everything you do echoes. Not because someone's keeping score, but because your evolution builds the very fabric of cosmic harmony. This isn't about dogma. It's about design. Your life isn't random. It's woven. Your death isn't an end. It's a passage. And your soul, it's a masterpiece still in motion. So the next time the world tells you to shrink, remember this. You're not small. You're not late. You're not behind. You are eternal. And this planet, this temporary, turbulent, glorious Earth, it's just the beginning. Your journey is cosmic, and it's just getting started.